To you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital, peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listener participation program.
Talk today.
What is on your mind, Cayman? If you are ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome, and thanks for joining us. I believe it's Tuesday on the calendar, but I'm not even sure if it's January still. That's a long year. Well, in the studio, a good friend and colleague, Raymond Six, sits with us, man. We're going to have a good conversation, right, Ray?
You know, we will. I'm actually really happy to be here. It's
like Christmas, huh?
You know, for some context to that comment, like Sterling and I we've worked together for almost 10 years, right? Yeah. And we joke every so often about, like, let's go play pool and talk to me. Yeah, here's our opportunity today.
We're going to play pool.
We'll play some pool.
You know what? We're going to see what's going to happen. He's going to sit with us for as long as he can. If it exceeds 1 o'clock, I'll see if I never reach that. But we got things scheduled for 1 and 1:30. Our friends from HSA will join us. Awesome. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Email Talk Today at candw.ky. Let your voice be heard. And now, back to Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, Radio Cayman Talk Today.
Hey, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. And one of the great things that I like about Radio Cayman, and there are many, many great things.
Many great things.
Yeah. Not just the people, the personnel, our constant, consistent approach to trying to bring professionalism to everything, right?
Nailed it, yeah.
Is that it allows our country to see this gem that is accessible, and we nurture it, we protect it. We ensure that whether we are consciously protective of it, we are quickly to defend if there's any intrusion on this voice, this platform that allows people to access people, but people to access information, because there's an expectation that it's going to be timely and accurate.
Yeah.
And in doing that, it's going to be presented in a way that is balanced, right?
I love that the word balance. You've said 3 words that are really cool.
Yeah,
the gem one. The gem one is a big one.
Yeah.
Great is another one. And that balance. And if I guess really, because we say these words, right? But words have meaning, right? You say we have this great, everything, right? And because we do. But the reason why something is great is not because it's great one time. It's because it's good consistently, as you said, and over time it becomes great, right? Look at Cayman seafaring history. It's a great history, not because it's a one-off situation. It was something good that was done, and resourcefulness, whatever it is, over generations, and it became this great. And the matriarchs of Cayman became this great overarching. It's great. Greater Cayman. Great.
And that is why I think, to some extent, we do ourselves a disservice. We don't tell our story. We don't promote, because somewhere...
I don't agree. Sorry, I was late for that. I don't agree with that.
Somewhere... No, we don't deliberately, consciously document and... And then produce.
It's not the act, like that full documentation of Cayman as it is.
Right.
Yeah.
And the reason I think is that we, in whatever reason, conscious or deliberate, whether it was just inadvertent, inattentive, we have come to believe that when we promote this thing, it's being conceited, arrogant, it's something self-serving. Because normally that's what it is, right?
I don't know where that comes from, but yeah, you're right.
But the disservice is that if we don't tell the story, very much like the recipe that your mother makes that you love.
Sure.
If you don't pay attention, you may not get it.
Hold on. Pay attention.
Pay attention.
If you don't listen.
Right.
Because you said this now, like we don't tell our story. We do tell the story. A lot of people in this community don't listen.
No, we don't.
Let's see. Let me be, and that's the first contentious statement to make. And that's not a Camangan comment. That's not an expat comment.
No.
A lot of people in the Cayman Islands don't listen. We're distracted. We're busy. Whatever it is, for whatever reason, we don't. Because there are a lot of people come on this radio and tell stories.
Yeah.
They tell us. Mr. Banks is on it. He's telling stories. Yeah. Only a few people are actually listening to some of the stories he's sharing. Right.
That's it. We're good storytellers, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We have an oral history, but we don't listen.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that you say that. Your mama would say to you, boy, you can't hear, you feel. Right? Translation.
Yeah.
If you don't know what I mean, actually came on a friend.
But you know what? That goes in reverse. That goes both ways.
Yeah.
Because you're a dad, I'm a dad. If I don't listen to my child, I'm going to feel it there at some point. It may not be today.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't listen to me today, he at some point in the future, he's gonna go, oh, I probably should have listened to my dad on that. But I'm sure if you don't listen to your children, at some point, you're going to look back and go, oh, I probably should have listened when they were saying something. Because you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. That's
you
the only
don't know
thing.
what you don't know. And if you don't listen to your elders, if you don't talk and listen to your coworkers, your bosses, politicians, whatever it might be, if you don't take the time to actually listen, and especially for politicians, we have obviously we're coming up the season. If you're not listening, you're gonna miss the information you need, right? And then you can't go solve the problems you want to solve.
See,
sorry,
no, you complimented.
I completely rattled there.
And as you shared, this is where, as parents, we believe oftentimes. Maybe it's how we were trained. Maybe it's what we taught.
Sure, absolutely.
Right. We need to listen to our spouses or the co-parenting or whatever that dynamic is.
Absolutely correct.
Our own parents as the grandparents, but we need to listen to our children.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Hear what they're saying, but also hear what they're not saying. Active listening is challenging.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. Do you think I'm a good listener?
I think you are see, good means you do it all the time, and I think you have shown consistency. Great music all the time, and I think you have shown good consistency in being able to listen to what people are saying to you. And I know we have some callers who can sometimes be a little long-winded. Sometimes politicians can be long-winded. It's just the way they communicate.
Just the way it is.
And I think you show some serious patience in how you afford people an opportunity to share their concerns or thoughts or ideas on your platform. And then you try your best. Because the reality is, like, and I'm gonna say jokingly, but like Miss Jan, one of our callers, I think she calls on a regular basis, and I know you're listening to her problems, and I know somewhere in your brain at the end of the show you're like, all right, so Miss Jan mentioned these kind of couple problems, and I'm gonna have a think about that, and maybe there's a solution. The problem is that like the next day Miss Jan calls again with 3 more problems, like there's 3 more like 3-legged dogs running around. We gotta say, what do we do?
Yeah.
And Dwayne goes, I'm still on the first 3-legged dog. Yeah. Like I need help with it.
But see, thanks for sharing, right? And I didn't ask for the compliment, right? I didn't initially appreciate that because it's my ethos. The reason why I say is I want people to do what I am consciously been trying to do for as long as I know myself. Listen, help to facilitate, help to add value, lessen others' burdens, right?
Good for you.
There are many things that translate as a result of that. You might actually do that, but then you get more burdens to your thing. It's not just the Miss Johns who adds 3 today and 3 today. It's the others. What has happened in our society, whether it's the politicians deliberately, hey, I'll take care of you, whether it's the parents wanting to make the child's life easier, better, whether it's the marketing. We no longer want to take ownership for what we say and do. We don't want to be responsible. We don't want to be accountable. We don't see that it's important to take the initiative, right? And when somebody...
It's a very valid observation.
My mother said, you don't want a big bar in a behold.
You don't want to say it again?
Let me say it slowly. Yeah. Right? I said it fast and deliberately.
I got it.
No, I know you got it. I was going to repeat it. You don't want to beg. You don't want to borrow. You don't want to behold.
Behold.
Right? And the thing is, too many times people want that power over you. Yeah. And you give it to them. You allow them to decide for you all these things. That becomes the norm for us. And that is what is happening in our society. Right?
You know, so it's very profound. Like I'm trying to like process a few of those things because you're absolutely right. Like there's a lot of history and generational, like the way we kind of, that's not just for Cayman, that's humans, right?
It's globally.
That's how culture develops, right?
Right. Our seafarers were successful because they took initiative, but that was the norm, right? You look at the household where the parent allows the child.
Hold on, the seafarers were the norm.
Yeah, and the way they operate their lives, something needed to be done. They went and done.
Bingo.
After Ivan, our success was the recognition that we have this resolve. There's a sense of resilience, but we didn't wait for government, whether that's a government here or others. We did it.
Self-sufficient.
At some point, we're now told, you got to wait for the government. Lady Thatcher made a point. The minute the government gets into your business and dictates and directs everything you go do, they will control, own, and if you eat, live, or breathe, you don't want that, right? The grocer's daughter was absolutely brilliant in the things that she embodied. We have now gotten away from that as a country.
It's an interesting one,
right?
Because you can ask the question of like where, how, why, but because government serves a purpose. There's a responsibility government has, and I think in Cayman they do a lot right. And we tend to look at the things that they don't. There's big problems. Everyone's trying to figure out, right?
Yeah, let's not.
You're right. There is whether there's overreach or not. I think that's for everyone to kind of discern themselves. But government serves a purpose, and that's not just like the elected 19 members. That's the civil service is a huge entity that moves, I think, fairly well together. Right? There's some areas that I think everyone could look and go, okay, you know what, you can maybe polish this up a bit. But overall, like you have a judicial level. We're just seeing a judge who's now on the Privy Council from Cayman. So congratulations. Like that's another one of Cayman kind of hitting above the belt and just kind of stepping out from a smaller jurisdiction into something that's, whether you like it or not like it, it's a platform that holds certain prestige. Right?
Yeah.
But we're seeing it in sports. We saw what Jordan Crook said. Like we punch above our weight in so many things. And many of those things come from, Jordan Crook would be the first one to say that, like government's investment into swimming and private sector's investment in swimming is a platform that he was able to utilize to get ahead. And I think you have to go to
I'm waiting to be, in this case, I got to talk until...
Yeah. And if I don't mind, if I could ask one favor, if you don't mind me come back, I'm only here to one. If we come back from break, if we can just get like 12 or so minutes before we go to a caller. Because we don't get this chance, right? And I want to take 10 minutes and actually have a conversation before someone calls and tells you the next problem you have to go solve, right?
Yeah. But here it is, right? When they tell us we'll go, if not, we're not going to ask, right?
All right, cool. I'm with you.
We can see through the looking glass.
I support you on your journey here.
Sometimes, you know what? But to say this, bring us back to Radio Cayman.
Yeah.
Right?
Please, yeah.
When...
Is it break time?
Yeah, you heard it?
I heard it, yeah.
Maybe she saved me from my thoughts.
There we go. Let's quick pause.
Let's pause and take that break. Stay tuned.
Easter vacation is just around the corner, and Cayman Airways has added multiple extra flights to some of your favorite destinations, some of mine too. Look here, they got seats available now for booking on extra Easter flights between Grand Cayman and Kingston, La Ceiba, Miami, Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and you can even catch a non-stop flight to Montego Bay for Easter. Check it out. You can visit CaymanAirways.com, contact a local travel agent, or call Cayman Airways Reservations on 949-2311. And don't wait too long though, because these extra Easter seats always sell fast. Be sure to add your Sir Turtle Rewards number to your booking so you can earn more miles for more free trips this year. Well, I know where I'm going. I'll see you on board a uniquely Caymanian airline for Easter.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just the delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Here are a few tips that will benefit you. Ensure to log out completely when you finish any online banking activities. Be aware of phishing attempts and only click links from trusted sources that are sent from your device through emails and messages. Remember, Cayman National will never ask you for your credentials. If you suspect a fraud attempt or that your account has been compromised, please immediately contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
Get your tickets now for Grand Cayman's biggest one-day family fun day, the 56th Annual Agricultural Show at the Stacey Wattler Agricultural Pavilion in Lower Valley, Ash Wednesday, March 5th. Raffle tickets are on sale now at eventpro.ky and include general admission to the show. Not one, but two $10,000 grand prizes. All the fun, all the entertainment, the food, the animals, the plants, and homemade goodies. Get your raffle tickets now at eventpro.ky. The 56th Annual Agricultural Show, Ash Wednesday, March 5th.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back. And in a bit, we'll take some calls, but in deference to our colleague Raymond Singh, you were sharing some things, man. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your insight.
Thank you. I know we had a cancellation, and thanks for your patience and understanding with the other cancellation we had. But we've been joking around for years about me. I'm glad I got to do it, cover for you at times, and every so often we have a pull up 5-minute conversation when there's a gap in your schedule, and but we were talking about before the break about the changes in society from where we were, and I jot a few notes down, right, because I'm working on this project, this homework assignment, and part of the assignment was history and culture based, and not just for Cayman, just in general, right? But I started questioning the concept, because we are coming up to an election. We have however many number of candidates who they're looking to win one of the 19 seats, right? And we have a talk show that we hear the problems, right? Everyone knows the problems. We can look and go, okay, we have a dump issue. We have a question on the port issue. That is a challenge. Let's change it from problem to challenge, right? We have these challenge areas, right? Everyone knows these big ticket items. Everyone knows the smaller ones, the underlying issues. Caymanians, expats, and there's so many little it's not necessarily me versus them. There's always these polarizing conversations, and so part of this time was to look at history and culture. I started looking at Caymanian culture just from the lens of, because I'll laying all cards on the table. I'm not from Cayman, right? I've been in Cayman for 20 years, with Radio Cayman for half of that time, just about. And I consider Radio Cayman family. The people we are a family here at Radio Cayman, right? We bicker, we argue, we have our moments. We kind of scratch our head and go, what? But every family has it. Everyone has a cousin in the family. You look at it and go, wait, what'd you do?
He's your cousin, not mine.
And you kind of scratch your head and go, hold on a second, right? Or kid toddlers. There's so many things. But looking at that history and culture thing, I was trying to figure out, we can say what culture is. We can say there's the new national dress that Ministry of Youth, Sports and Heritage, they're trying to bring back their representation, and the turtle story. We had that caller that one time that made that inappropriate comment. But culture is this scenario of it's this evolution. But I was trying to think what is one thing in common that every Caymanian has? So culture has to be a uniform kind of. And there was one thing that no matter what, I came back to this one simple statement. It was, and there's many things that formulate this identity, and it was humble beginnings. It doesn't matter who you speak to that's Caymanian. Somewhere in their family history, whether it was this generation, whether it was 8 generations ago, whatever it was, there was someone who had a very humble beginning start. very much you. Like you grew up in a generation that you didn't have smartphones. You couldn't just run to Foster's all the time and just get everything you wanted, right? There was this humble kind of start to how you did things. Very much like a kid going off to college, right? This humble beginning. Terrifying to go off to the U.S. and you're leaving everything behind. But then I was looking at it from this, because you made a comment before the show. Like you kind of look at things like, if you're here in Cayman and you're supporting Caymans, making Cayman a better place, I support you. Doesn't matter if you're a Cayman. Doesn't matter if you're a tourist. You're helping. You deserve the respect of that same mutual kind of respect. You treat Cayman great. Cayman treats you great, right? And so there's the humble beginning story, and that kind of evolved into like so what are the traits that like Cayman? We talk to seafarers. I call Cayman the matriarch station. Yes, the seafarers did a lot, but Radio Cayman listeners, if I make one like comment that may not be on point, Miss Norma and Miss Paula are going to get 5 people calling. Every single one of those is a generational Caymanian woman who's going to go, okay, so hold on. He said this, but hold on, just one little bit. Didn't like the matriarchs had this huge, powerful voice in the community. But how do they get like what was the ingredients that kind of went into it? And I kind of went back to my son, and this is a coaching element where I was coaching my son on how to be a good student. Like, what are the ingredients I went to? And I went, hold on a second. So humble beginnings and Caymanians were good students. This was and so to understand, like I mean that by what a good student means is there's 5 traits I tell my son on what a good student means. And he kind of has this, owns this and tries to do it. And the first one was being humble. Caymanians, historically, were very humble. You didn't have a lot. You lived off the land.
So a lot of humility, man.
Humility, like the level of humility you need to, you had to like be humble, because there was you're planting trees in rock, like that is actually what happened, and you made it work. Like that level of like and humility of what you did, right? The second thing that went into being a good student was you had to be a good listener. We just talked about that, right? Like you had to, if you were back in the day, like the Mall Road, whatever you want, you had to listen to the ocean. You had to listen to the wind. You had to listen to what was going on in your because if something happens, it's real. Like this is real. We didn't have the AC to go run into. Say, oh, it's hot. We got to run the AC. You had to be a problem solver. Like being a good student is you go to school, the teacher kind of says, here's how you solve a problem. Here's a problem, go solve it. Caymanians had a lot of real life problems to solve, right? Like you have mosquitoes, you have the ocean, you have food, you have shelter, security. Like you could go further back, there was real security. You had to be a problem solver for all the things that could probably happen, right? And you look at seafarers, I guarantee, like I joke around with Miss P, she has it perfect, but that bag has everything she can need to solve any issue. She's the MacGyver, right? And how many of the matriarchs have a MacGyver purse? They walk around, you can solve anything in your house, right? And it's in your purse. And it's in your purse, right? So the fourth thing about it, of being a good student, was being disciplined. Now we talk about that. We talk about education a lot. And discipline is doing the work. There's things to do, right? You don't get to sit around and watch Netflix. They didn't have Netflix, right? They had to be disciplined at getting stuff done. And the fifth one, which was more of a mindset thing, but was being patient. You had to be patient.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah. So those 5 things, and I looked at like what kind of formed the baseline of Cayman culture, and it formed the baseline for every culture. But we're talking about like being in this Cayman community, and it was those 2 things. Like you had to be on the first scenario. You had to have like this humble beginning start to appreciate the things you then became a good student and went and built. And 60 years ago, a group of politicians, like laid the foundation for what you call the banking trust laws and all those scenarios. For the past 60 years, Cayman has reaped a lot of benefits from that, right? There's a lot of benefits from tourism, from finance, from all that has benefited Caymanians. No one can honestly sit there and go, man, they gave us nothing. They came, took everything, and gave nothing. Because that's not true. We see it every day in what was built, what was not built. And then kind of looking at through that lens of like, what changed? You mentioned earlier, something changed somewhere between in the last, I don't know, I wasn't there. Like I wasn't there, but it's not a one-off incident, but this kind of evolution of things. And you kind of go through that list of what it means to be a good student and how much humility do many people have at times. How much do we listen? How much do we actually listen? We have parents don't listen to kids. Kids don't listen to parents. Bosses don't listen to employees. Employees don't listen to coworkers. And it goes around. Politicians don't listen to this. People don't listen to politicians. Whatever, right? Problem solving, like we complain about problems. Or not complain. We identify problems. I love Miss Jan's calls, right? Especially we like tighten up a little bit because I want to hear the problem. I want to hear what she is like. 'Cause she is like the eyes and ears running around town going, man, look at this thing. This is a problem that needs to get sorted. But we don't solve. And Miss Jan, like I want to change that conversation of how do we actually solve problems, right? That's what the next election is. That's my rant. Sorry.
No.
That was my little spiel about it.
Yeah, no, fair enough. But see, out of all of that, here's the major takeaway when it comes to that problem solving.
Yeah.
If we don't acknowledge the issue, we can't address it.
Absolutely.
Right? And we're failing to acknowledge it. So to the likes of Miss Jans and others, they're there, they've seen it.
Yeah.
Very few of us are willing to acknowledge it. So she sees it.
Yeah.
Right? And she's sharing it.
Yeah.
And she may have a solution. It may be in frustration that she doesn't.
Yeah.
But what she has that we need to also have, the courage to share it. And when she does, the word listen. We often say we don't want to hear the message because we don't want to listen to the messenger, right?
Yeah, that's the truth,
right?
man.
you have, not just you, right?
No.
Collective you. You have a friend who, supposedly a friend, will say something to you.
Sure.
And then they'll go, well, I was only telling you the truth. Yes, what they say may be honest, accurate, truthful.
Yeah.
But the way they say it, there's vitriol, there's malice. It's said to hurt, not to help, right?
Yeah, it's positioned in a place of animosity and hostility instead of us simple little nudge. We just kind of like, here's a problem, but if we just kind of gently turn our head and look this way, and just, hey, what small change do we make? Yeah.
So if we say that thing that is truthful, in love, right? The scripture says, don't discipline in anger. Scripture talks about, your praise in public, your chastise in private, right? We don't draw alongside. I joke with my closest friends and I said, maybe it should say, lead me not into temptation, for I shall find it myself. We don't need help to go astray, We don't need help to do bad, I can do bad all by myself. I think everybody, right? You don't need that. You don't need to be reminded of when you're doing wrong. You know that.
I don't know, man. Sometimes you kind of need someone to go, hold on, put the truck down. It's like talking to a toddler sometimes, right? Yeah. You got to come to them and look at a toddler and go, you have so much potential. Yeah. But you can't sit there and just hit everybody you want.
There it is, man. All right, we got to find a break.
Yeah.
Maybe next season I'll have less breaks and more talk. Let's pause and when we come back, join us.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Protect your computers and mobile devices with security software to defend against cyber attacks through viruses, malware, and other online threats. Be aware of unsecure Wi-Fi connections when in public. If you need to access your online banking or sensitive information on your mobile devices, try disabling the Wi-Fi and switching to data from your mobile network. If you suspect a fraud attempt, please contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Take some advice from your Aunt Angie. Don't lie on your resume. Because if you say you've got trapeze experience, someone might shoot you out of a cannon and expect you to do a gymnast routine while flying through the air at 82 miles an hour. And just because you want to land on your feet doesn't mean you will. But if you're smart, you'll have CG medical insurance, so you get the best coverage for the price.
Get the best coverage for the price. CG Britke.
Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
Attention all residents of Savannah and surrounding areas. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman PACE Committee invites you all to their prostate and colon cancer awareness meeting on Thursday, February 27th at the Savannah United Church, starting at 7 p.m. Guest speakers are Dr. David and Dr. Mubin from Grand Harbor Medical, who will be discussing colon and prostate cancer diagnosis, treatment, and prevention. Men, come out and get your PSA test done for free. Remember, early detection saves lives. Refreshments will be served.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us for a few extra minutes. Thanks to Raymond Singh for sitting with us.
Thank you, sir.
We need to do something that we shared earlier. Listen and give people a space. So, as you share with us, thank you. Hopefully, as we go into campaigning and voting and deciding what the policies and the political directive will be, that is a country we unite. Why I share that, as I said outside, what I love about Radio Cayman is that this is a station that is funded by taxpayer money, but it is owned and operated and controlled by us, the people. This is ours. It's not like
democracy, the purest form of democracy you'll ever find.
Many jurisdictions, from the UK to the US to the Caribbean, independent nations. The government radio station is the mouthpiece of the government in power. This radio station has always been, in my mind, and as long as I see it that way, a voice for us.
Absolutely.
Right? We call, we speak, we champion the government, we criticize the government.
Absolutely.
Because it is that platform.
That's what it's for.
That level of objectivity and impartialness is something that we should never lose sight of, or love to be changed, right? And if you go back to way back when, that's in my view, has been the inculcated ethos. Always respectful. Always ensuring that whatever is presented is accurate and timely, balanced, fair.
And offers everyone a platform. This is what Radio Cayman really. Radio Cayman is a government-owned entity, as you said, but every single candidate, every single politician, every single voice in the Cayman Islands, in some way, has an opportunity to utilize the Radio Cayman platform in some capacity to listen and to discuss their solutions to issues, whatever they might be. It doesn't matter how small or how relevant you think or how big ticket item it is. This station offers that platform.
I'm hoping that as I continue, and I see this, the privilege and the honor to sit here, that my initial objective will always remain to facilitate discussion, to be respectful.
That's what you do.
Everybody who comes in, to ensure that they are accommodated. There's a hospitable, warm welcome.
Absolutely.
But it's fair, it's objective, it's impartial.
It's balanced, as you said.
And that is what my parents have taught me. No, it doesn't mean that you agree. It just means that you have the maturity and the respect, humility to listen. But as I'm listening, you hopefully will be able to share some other things. I want to hear some of your gems.
It was just, we're coming into this season, right? So there's a lot of, and I'm not alone in this. Everyone, I think, I'm going to speak for out loud. If you completely disagree with this, then please, that's your prerogative. But I think everyone kind of looks around right now and is kind of going, a lot's changing. Things might look the same, but things are starting to feel very different. You look at the U.S., like what happened with the election. You look at Canada, the Prime Minister stepping down. Things are changing, right? And it's happening in real time as we speak, right? We see it every day with technology, with governments. We have an election coming up, right? I think everyone can look at this election and go, okay, hold on. We saw previously with party politics, we saw with independents. Here we have this new scenario where we have some new parties coming in. We have kind of like an honoring of the past 60 years of the House or the LA, with some members moving on to enjoy the next phase of whatever they want to do with their lives. And a new wave of political hopefuls who are stepping into the arena. And the voting pool looks different. The voting pool is younger. The voting pool is not only predominantly women. It might still be, but the voting pool has been historically.
It's a changed demographic.
It's a changed demographic. Everything looks different. The system might still be the same.
Was that Bob Dylan? Times they are changing.
I love Dylan, man. I saw his movie the other day. But so whether it doesn't matter who you are listening right now. It doesn't matter if you're a politician, one of the candidates. It doesn't matter if you're a proud Kimangan. I've seen a bumper sticker for proud Kimangan. I saw one for entitled Kimangan the other day. I saw a bumper sticker on a car. It doesn't matter if you're a paper Kimangan. It doesn't matter if you're a tourist. It doesn't matter if you're an expat. If, like you said before, everybody has this place, right? But if you're a voter, you have a voice. You have something that can really influence the next 60 years. That's what we're talking about, the next election. The next election is not about the next 4 years. The next election, in my perspective, is what happened 60 years ago. There was a group of members of the LA and business community who got together and created a foundation which paved 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
This next government, whoever steps in, and the one after that, are the governments that are going to pave the way for the next 60 years.
Yeah.
And this is a big conversation because this is a conversation that exceeds your lifetime. This is your children and your grandchildren's conversation that you are involved. If you were one of the matriarchs from the seafarers, you're not going to see this. Just like the members from that 60 years ago, many of them are not going to see the product of their work today.
The cathedral builders, man.
They could, right? But the reality is they are the architects, right? This next group is, and the people who vote are the true architects because you are the eyes and ears that see the problem. They're simply the group that's supposed to come in and help kind of fix the problems, right? And it doesn't matter what the problem is. There has to be this kind of reframe mindset of instead of, anytime you say something new, you say an idea, people who are stuck in their ways and they go, well, yeah, but, and there's that yeah, but moment. And that yeah, but moment is you're like, oh, your yeah, but is based on 60 years of the way things are, not how 60 of the next 6 years are how things could be. And it's to reframe that yeah, but to a yes of, okay, this is a solution. What are our options to make this solution come to fruition? It doesn't matter what the ticket items are, right? You mentioned Cayman is a pinnacle of the Caribbean. The rest of the Caribbean looks to what Cayman does. Other than Guyana, who has oil money and is figuring stuff out, Cayman is the pinnacle of the Caribbean, point blank, with connections globally and punching way above their usual weight, which is what Caymanians do. But you look at and change it from that conversation of yeah, but to how could we make that port? I mean, I mentioned yesterday, or you saw that comment yesterday from the WhatsApp chat, right? Like the port project is something that's always, so long as there is no port, there's going to be a conversation that's going to absorb a significant amount of emotional, financial energy that we don't have. We have people that can't, people are struggling. We need to work on solutions for them. And so one of the suggestion was build the port, but create an advisory board that takes into the interest to make sure that competitiveness for Cayman businesses and entrepreneurs, and you have a group that can help mitigate the environmental concerns and work together, get it done. Work together. Stop this. This is our agenda. This is what their agenda really is. Stop. Like in all fairness, there's so many issues that are going on that this one's still absorbing so much space at the table. I in my head, I'm like, scratch my head going, there is a solution. Is it a great solution? No, that's democracy for you. You take a little bit off of your plate, I take a little bit off my plate, we combine the plates, we make a big plate, everyone gets to eat, and we plant a big harvest. That's the kind of thought process, right? You look at I know the referendum on the ganja and the gambling, right? There are a lot of pros and cons to both sides of that conversation, but I'm putting my business hat on here for a second, right? You have major capital projects that need funding. The ganja and the gambling industries, they are profitable industries. Can you actually work with both sides of the table, bring them to, the joke I made when I was kind of writing this, I'm like, you could go and hire Mike Tyson, pay him a few $1 million, have him come down here and help build the name brand of this $90 million gargantuan industry. We have a lot of green thumbs in Cayman that can make it work. Take that money and build the sports facilities, put it towards the dump and the projects that need capital investment. Find creative, this next government coming in has so many options at their table. Business mindset, corporate mindset, church mindset, youth mindset. And there's so many other these little ones, right? You could take that money, invest it into the infrastructure for sports. You just heard on the news, Minister Brian the DP was talking about jet ski is doing some amazing things. Basketball is doing some amazing things. Keep an eye on those spaces. They're going to be doing some really cool things in the near future. But retool how we kind of view the situation come together. These are ideas are just like ideas I'm throwing out there. They're not ideas that have to be done. But all these big ticket issues have some workable solutions if the 19 people coming in and the people that vote them in start looking at things, because it's not just the politicians. You can't look at 19 people and go, please save the whole country. You have to be a part of that solution. Sorry, I know I rambled there.
No, I wish you had.
I have one more comment, but I'm out of time.
Yeah, well, our guests are here, Miss Susan.
Yeah.
Our guests are here. Are they? Yeah, our guests here. Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. They're not. They are. If they are, I'm happy to stay for a few extra minutes.
The space and place is yours, and let's see what chance wears. Join us after the news.
We are Radio Cayman,
covering Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and Grand Cayman.
1 in a million. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
I'm April Cummings with your latest headlines. The Public Transport Unit says it is aware of an incident involving a non-compliant tour bus and the enforcement actions taken by a PTU inspector. PTU says the vehicle did not have air conditioning, which is a requirement for public transport operators. While acknowledging the frustration of the affected operator, the ministry says all transport service providers need to make sure that their vehicles meet the necessary compliance standards. In international headlines, a top Hamas leader says the militant group will release 6 living Israeli hostages on Saturday and the bodies of 4 others on Thursday, a surprise increase that apparently comes in return for Israel allowing mobile homes and construction equipment into the devastated Gaza Strip. The 6 are the last living hostages set to be freed under the ceasefire's first phase. The warring sides have yet to negotiate the second and more difficult phase, in which Hamas says it will release dozens more hostages in exchange for a lasting ceasefire and an Israeli withdrawal. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says his country will not accept peacekeeping forces from NATO countries in Ukraine under any peace deal, following high-level talks with the U.S. in Saudi Arabia. Russia and the U.S. said they had agreed to appoint teams to start negotiating the end of the war. Ukraine was not invited to the talks, which its president, Volodymyr Zelensky, said was a surprise. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman. More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Do you have a healthcare question but not sure who to ask? Contact HSA's Patient Call Center to speak to one of our experienced clinical team members. We are here to answer your questions and help guide you through your healthcare journey. Need to make an appointment? Our team can help. Contact HSA at 949-8600 or email info@hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Henry Watson Ruddy, ISO, 1870 to 1943. Henry Watson Ruddy came to Cayman Brac as a young man with his father, William H. Ruddy, who was the first Baptist missionary to Cayman Brac and started the Baptist mission there. Dr. Henry Ruddy was born and educated in Jamaica and came to Cayman Brac as a young man. He was one of the first civil servants in the Sister Islands, holding the post of Collector of Customs. He was also the only medical dispenser on Cayman Brac which had no doctor. He mixed and dispensed medicines and also did minor surgeries years, saving numerous lives. At times, he assisted his wife, Julia Ann Nee Lazari, a midwife who delivered nearly all the babies born on the BRAC during Dr. Ruddy's term of service. He was also a school teacher and a preacher. On his retirement, his son Aston took over his government responsibilities.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer. Easter vacation is just around the corner, and Cayman Airways has added multiple extra flights to some of your favorite destinations, some of mine too. Look here, they got seats available now for booking on extra Easter flights between Grand Cayman and Kingston, La Ceiba, Miami, Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and you can even catch a non-stop flight to Montego Bay for Easter. Check it out. You can visit CaymanAirways.com, contact a local travel agent, or call Cayman Airways Reservations on 949-2311. And don't wait too long though, because these extra Easter seats always sell fast. Be sure to add your Sir Turtle Rewards number to your booking so you can earn more miles for more free trips this year. Well, I know where I'm going. I'll see you on board a uniquely Caymanian airline for Easter.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks to our colleague Raymond Singh for giving us a few more minutes of his time. And before we continue the convo, let's take this next call and go straight to the phones. Hey, welcome and thanks for sharing.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Sterling.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
It's Johan Moxham. How are you doing?
Johan Moxham. Is that Renard Johan Moxham?
The one and only.
All right.
Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon, man.
Afternoon, Ray. Always good to listen to you guys. I was just calling in because I was driving back to the office, and I listened to the last contribution there, and I'm going to say something. It isn't meant to be contentious, but it's just another perspective to be considered. Ray, I think you've been here for a long time, and you've always given back. You've helped with the kids. You are very youth and sports centered, and having watched you work, I want to thank you for all of those things that you do.
Thank you, sir.
I believe you're from Canada.
Originally, yes, yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, you know, I think the magic of Cayman is the integration of good, honest, hard-working people that understand what Cayman is, what our values are, who we are, how we are, and then having that sort of mutual respect or demonstrating that as consistently as possible. That is what makes Cayman successful and a place where everybody wants to come to and nobody ever wants to leave.
Very true.
Look at the statistics. Everybody gets a work permit, and a lot of people assume a work permit equals a pass.
So, Johan, you were losing you partially, whether it's the speakerphone or whether it's the echoing. So we don't want to miss you, okay?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Saying, everybody comes here, but nobody ever wants to leave because Cayman is paradise. I think for those that are born and raised here, multi-generational, especially for those that come from other places that are cold and full of taxes and gridlock and, crime and everything else. But I was just the reason why I called in is, Ray, I hear you. I hear the vision, and I hear the passion, and I hear the entrepreneurial spirit that you spoke about certain things, about industries and possibilities, and what the future could hold for Cayman if we went down the path of decriminalization of ganja, for instance, and that sort of the cottage industries that crop up from that, and so on and so forth, and the casinos. But I say this with greatest respect and no malice at all. We need to be careful and really think about the kind of Cayman that we want. I want you to name a country. I want you to name a city. I want you to name a place where the size of similar to the size of Cayman, where they went so far left and they opened up to these fanciful, brilliant, big ideas that it worked out for them. Cayman doesn't need any more people that are going to be stuck in the mud, that are going to get lethargic, that are going to be lazy because of we've now invested or pursued a possible industry like anything ganja related.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that in a malicious way. It's just that we, and I'm Caymanian, born and raised and proud as any Caymanian, we got to remember what makes Cayman successful. We got to remember what makes Cayman safe. We got to remember what makes Cayman and Caymanians the sort of place and the people that attracts others to come here. Are we passive? We're very passive. Do people come here and take advantage of our positivity, our goodwill, our naivety? All the time. It's been happening since the beginning of time. But to build a new and better Cayman, we have to really consider what that looks like. And taking the blueprint of what has happened in big cities like Toronto and Vancouver and everything else, those things don't work there, so it's definitely not going to work here. And I would just say, as a patriotic Caymanian, we need to work together, have honest discussions, and the way that you presented what you presented was really respectful and ambitious, and it had positive intent to it. But the last thing we need is such a liberal sort of regime in Cayman where we're pursuing industries based on things that we know really and truly Caymanians won't benefit from, and that will be industries that are taken over. There will be an influx of new, sort of outsiders who have mastered the art of marijuana and ganja, and then we'll get inundated with more people, because the one thing that I will say in closing, Caymanians feel, and if you look at the statistics, if there's 88,000 people here in Cayman, about 40,000 are Caymanian, and of that 40,000, I would dare say 22 to 25 are multi-generational Caymanian. And when you start looking around and you don't recognize anybody, and the gated communities get built and people don't know each other, I don't want to live in the next Bahamas. I don't want to live in the next TCI. I don't want to live in the next Jamaica. And so I would just caution us, because Ray, you've been here and you've put in your time, and best of luck to you in the future. But let's build a Cayman that's looking beyond those sort of industries that are exclusionary, because the investment of time, energy, and money to get them off the ground is real. And there are very few Caymanians that have the ability to do so. But more importantly, if we could, multi-generational Caymanian families would have already pursued that. So I'm just saying, I hear you, but I just wanted to give you the other side of the equation.
No, I appreciate that.
Let's build a Cayman that we all want to be proud of, where we don't see it falling off the rails and going off the tracks because of the price of progress. Let's call it that. No,
I appreciate that. Very, very valid. Mr. Broxbaum, I gotta say, if I can just really quickly just comment before you hang up. You're absolutely right. In all fairness, like the points that you raised are the real conversation points that need to be had on any issue, not just this one, right? On any of the big ticket issues. But you know what I would want to do is I'm going to chew on a few things you said, because it applies to some of the other. Because I just threw down economy on this sheet, and I kind of threw these couple of items that I thought were the conversation that we keep hearing, right? And it's just how to kind of relook at it or retool the conversation. And one was water, like the Ocean Institute, like what CCMI is doing. Is there avenues to pursue, like making an Ocean Institute of the Cayman Islands as a whole? Like, we have so much we do. We lived so much from the sea in the past. Sea is still there. People are now doing different things with the sea on how they actually utilize it. And it's what CCMI is doing over in Little Cayman is brilliant. Can we actually look at scaling that up? In Grand Cayman was another one. What Cayman Enterprise Cayman and Tech Cayman and those groups are doing, the industries they're building in the tech circles and in the offshore circles, they're brilliant industries that there's so much, but we're not tooling the schools for those industries as quickly as those industries are growing. There was the looking at the Eastern Districts. I know I heard the Honorable Deputy Premier make a comment again. I can't remember which event it was, about going east and looking at how we can develop sustainably and intellectually, now that we know what can happen the eastern side. Cayman Brac, can I make a quick comment about Cayman Brac? Because you mentioned community earlier. Sterling, and I am so fond of Sister Islands, right? Like, I handle our accounts of Sister Islands. There's something about the Sister Islands get it, right? Like the Cayman of before, they can say, oh, Island time forgot. No, the Sister Islands really get this. Like, the Sister Islands fight together. You don't fight with one Bracker. I would joke, like I make this joke when I was writing this down. I'm like, if Cayman Brac and Grand Cayman went to war, and you have to take the 2,000 Brackers against the 88,000 people on Grand Cayman, no military, no nothing, I'm putting my money behind Cayman Brac because they fight together, right? We would be out there going, no, we're going to fight this direction. No, we're going to go this direction. And we're going to do, not the politicians, that's just us as people. And they're resilient, they work together, they're all that good student stuff.
Community.
They're a community, and they come together. You go to the Brac Ag Show, the entire community has shown up in full, and they're spending the entire day together. They help each other, they help their elderly, they're working towards their sports programs, so many good things, right? And we in Grant can actually look at the Sister Islands and go, hold on, they're doing some really cool things correctly. How can we act? They work together as a community. How can we better work together? So, Mr. Malcolm, I really appreciate what you had said. And
No problem. I was just going to say one thing.
Yeah.
You've hit some really good points here, and here's the challenge that I would put out to the three of us, to Radio Cayman and everybody else.
Yes.
We're now at 2025. What do we want Cayman to look like in 2050? And I think a lot of the things that you were talking about, and it's the combination of those of us that are going to live here and die here, and those of us that have become Caymanian, what's the kind of Cayman that we want going forward? And we had a vision 2008 that a lot of work went into it, but nobody picked it up to drive the process. But now that we're in an election cycle, hopefully, Radio Cayman as the government radio station can help champion and drive this process so that we are looking towards the future on what kind of Cayman do we, and I mean Sterling, Johan, Ray, and everybody else that is calling Cayman home, what do we want that to look like for us as we get older, but more importantly for our future generations and our children? Because there's a lot of great ideas that you've thrown out there, and until we start having those real in-depth conversations, it's just going to be a talk shop instead of building a better Cayman for all Caymanians.
I love it. Thank you, sir.
Hey, thanks, John.
Really appreciate your comments. Thank you so much.
Right. Thanks again. You want to add anything to that? I wanted to.
I really appreciate Mr. Rockman's comment because he makes them very valid. He's looking at the situation through a lens of what he understands, right? We always look at these scenarios. We always look at politicians, and the only thing I would really say to this is going back to what we said during the break. We don't know what we don't know, right? I know Sterling Dwayne as a talk show host. The listeners know Sterling Dwayne as a talk. But we don't know what Sterling Dwayne does when he leaves this show. Sterling knows what he does when he leaves the show, right? He knows what he does to prepare for the show. He knows what he does the next day. Politicians are no different. The 19 people who are going to step into those seats in May, they are going to need to be problem solvers, right? They're going to need to be able to work. It's not going to become majority and minority scenario opposition. Opposition is not going to. It's going to have to look at the scenario of how do I help the government? What can I do to help this process? Not what can I do to stifle the process.
Right.
And the conversation has to. That is going to happen. The business community has to have that exact same approach to recognize that government is going to have to make. Is going to be looking at their future. Business sector is there to support that, and government in turn lays foundations, lays the rails. And the train that comes along, that's your private sector. And each one of those chariots are carrying a new industry.
It's interesting. You use the word train, and unfortunately, I was reminded yesterday that many of us love to see a train wreck.
Oh, my goodness, don't we?
And instead of doing that, why don't we find ways to ensure that track is safe?
Yeah.
Let's ensure that all who go. We use nice words, In recent times, we get caught up in the fluff. We like the nice words. And it's unfortunate that we say but we don't do. So to Johan's point, here are a number of things that need to happen. We need to have humility. We need to have courage. We need to start doing and stop talking. But when we talk, we need to talk with each other, not at each other.
Not to each other, or working together at this,
I am at a space where this job has been the greatest teaching tool. It allows us to understand the importance of listening actively listening to understand, not to respond. But what has also reminded us of the importance of, as you listen, appreciate that you can contribute. Not to use your position, whether you're a police officer, you're a parent, you're the principal in the school, you're the politician, or the pastor.
Huge.
That position of power where you beat people up just by your presence. Right?
Not that you can be involved. You need to be involved.
Okay.
The conversation can't be, oh, you have a choice. You can. The world is changing. We need everybody that has the power of a voice, like you just said.
Yeah. So let me ask, in saying that, right?
Yeah.
We recognize that increasingly, I'll give it as an example, personal example. I was offered a job before my daughter was born. So that's been a number of years ago. Different job, good people, wonderful working environment. But one of the conversations was, listen, if you accept this job, you can't do this, this, and this. And I go, but that takes away my community engagement, right?
Yeah.
You, as a private sector employer, going to pay me handsomely. Thank you very much for the offer. But you're going to take away any opportunity I have to contribute. My parents don't exert that level of control over me as a minor child. You as an employee who signed my paychecks. I mean, where do you, and of course, I didn't accept it, right? Why I'm saying that is, that still obtains, as Kurt Davis uses the phrase, in the private sector and the public sector. So my question to you, the Caymanian of generation, the Caymanian of whichever, the civil servant, the private sector employee, the budding entrepreneur, the self-employed, how many of us self-censor? And let's go one step further. We are now civil servants. How many of us will refrain from making public commentary? How many of us are told not to say anything? Let's even go one step further. I host a talk show. I make a comment or I ask a question. How long before you think I'll be sanctioned?
Okay, so you have a few different questions.
Yeah, all with the same premise.
But you're right. The premise is on that there are some people within some individuals and some organizations, some entities, when they have an established level of that powerful voice, tend to sometimes utilize it in what can be viewed as manipulative ways. To manipulate the situation to their outcome or whatever. I mean, censorship to do that, right? Media, it's been going on since history. Since the history of power and hierarchies in the animals, the biggest ape has punched the smaller ape and said, zip it, right?
Until the smaller ape,
right? Until the smaller ape gets bigger and then he has his own power and then the cycle continues, right? There's no easy answer. We can acknowledge that it happens. I think ultimately it still comes down to, no matter how we slice it, all the issues. And I go back to that good student, what I said about my initial part about community. If you business, every business started at a humble beginning. No business starts and goes, I got $1 million in the account, I'm ready to go, right? They go, I got to figure out how to get $5 this week, and then I work for more. And so if everybody can remember that we all came from this, and that is every expat that comes here has a humble beginning story. You have Filipinos living 5 to a room. You have Indians sleeping and working 6 to 8 because they can't. They're sending everybody.
But we have Canadians doing the same.
We have Canadians doing the same
English,
thing.
We have them all.
We have everybody doing these, and they have a voice. They are hardworking, and they're part of the conversation. And if you just put labels like, "Oh, expat, they can't do this," or Caymanian, they're being censored in this way, I guess slow the conversation down for just a minute. Everyone take a brief pause, take a few deep breaths, and go, "Hold on, how can I be good?" Just that simple thing. How can I be a good student? I know I come from a humble beginning. I know that expat has left his family. I know I have struggles in this community, and everything is amplified in this community because it's so small, right? As Johan said, like these issues compound. You see them very, very quickly because we're in a small, captive environment. But if everybody just goes back to that point of how do we approach that? If we remember that everybody has a humble beginning story, and we just work on that part about being a good, and this is not kumbaya-ish, right? This is not saying utopia happens tomorrow because Dwayne is going to be a good student. That's not what I'm saying.
If all gives all, nobody does without.
But if everybody tomorrow, if everybody listening right now, just tomorrow decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to be a better parent. I'm going to be a better child. I'm going to be a better brother, better sister, better, whatever it is, pick one thing. And whatever station you have in this life, you're a talk show host. You might be a grandmother. You might be a CEO. You might be one of the next 19 candidates coming into office. Whatever it is, remember, and have the humility of remembering that you come from a humble beginning story like every single other person, and be a good student how you do it.
Not just for an answer from you if possible, just all of us. Many of us self-censor. Many of us are censored by your employer, by our families, and different reasons, right?
Sure.
We're told don't bite the hand that feeds you. We have things that we live by. But the question is, are we doing ourselves and our country a disservice because we're not being able to give that contribution, right?
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely, it's a detriment.
Yeah.
But you can still approach it as a good student in school. My son goes to school. He doesn't like that he has to wear a uniform. Drives him absolutely nuts.
Mhm.
And so I said to him was, if in your station at school they say you need to wear a uniform, yeah, this is your censorshiping you, but is it going to affect what you get out of that equation? You can still make the most out of this situation. Because yes, you have to put your hand up to go to the bathroom. You don't have the flexibilities of a grown-up in school.
Right.
But you can still be a good student about how you approach whatever it is you're doing. You can still approach it with being humble. You can still be a good listener. You can still be a problem solver. You can still be disciplined, and you can still be patient. And everybody listening right now were to try just doing those simple, because you want your grandkids to do it. No, do you want your child to be a good student, or do you want them to embody those 5 traits? Very simple,
exactly.
So
But
if you want them to do it, then you do it. And the same problems they face in school and their station, you are facing in your station, and you're approaching it the exact same way. You want
we lead by example, right? And as you share,
we try to. We fail a lot.
and as we take this next call, here's a thing that Johan shared that comes down to education on any issue that the country is going to vote on, whether it's a referendum, or you as a person are going to be deciding. You need information, you need education. You need to be able to, if possible, and we have many opportunities because we're given the luxury of time to look at it, to analyze it, but we refuse to share it. There are probably some reasons, but I'll try to venture that comment. But let's take this call first.
Please, absolutely.
Hey, welcome. Thanks for sharing.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. And what I Mr. Singing there with you?
Yes,
it
ma'am.
is
Good
indeed. It
afternoon.
is indeed. Yes.
I'm out here trying to find myself.
My nervousness went up. My anxiety kept like, I'm going to get yelled at.
Sterling.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm out here trying to find myself in this island. I feel like I'm living in another part of the world, not the Cayman Islands.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, can't see no Caymanians. My God, my God.
Mm-hmm.
I must have gone to the wrong places.
Well, statistically, no. I mean, if there's 100,000 people, 10,000 Caymanians, there's 24 hours in a day, 15 of which we're doing other things, 2 we're sleeping. The probability of seeing a Caymanian after calculated is slim.
You'll probably see a senior by an appointment. That's about the most you'll see. Madam Sterling, I was talking to OC a couple of days ago. Well, I guess Monday.
Yeah.
What today is Tuesday? I think it was yesterday. In regards to this road they're opening there by the Lion Center and the King Sports Center for those gated community down in the back of I guess they call it Hurley's.
Mm-hmm.
And I was asking him, who road is it? Is government? Did government purchase that piece of property to make that road? I didn't ask him that. I don't think I meant that deep with it, but I asked him, did government actually bought that property there to make that road in through there for those guys to come out to this roundabout look that they are making for another bottleneck there and in that area, knowing you got people coming from Lidford Pearson Highway, people coming from Crew Road, and then you got people coming from east. So there's going to be a roundabout there, apparently. And this road is going to be adjacent to it, apparently. And I understand when they was doing that road up there by Hurley's and so forth, those same guys back there were making a lot of complaint about, the way the road was going to be situated and blah, 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 blah. But Sterling, when you live abroad and you got to drive half a mile to get an exit or entrance, You should be glad you can make it to it. But everybody come here want to make an exit and an entrance in 1 second. You got to be at their beck and call. Even though we're a small island, but we cannot accommodate everybody's needs and likes and wants. What about the island itself? What destruction are we doing to the island itself? You understand where I'm coming from? So, is this road going to be open to those gated communities back there? Do you think that they're going to have a gated fence up there from the main road for them to drive in and out of? I don't know. I'm just asking. And if so, that means that no one else can't go in there but them that lives back there. Now, what happens to the property that this road is being cut through? What happened to the property, the land on the left-hand side and the right-hand side, who that belongs to? And will that be accommodated sooner or later into a gated community as well, too? You may not have the answer for these things, but I put them in your head to see if you could take nonsense and take sense out of it for me.
All right, well, certainly appreciate that. And, there are many people who in the past would walk up in that area, the dikes, the undeveloped area, with the gated section and even that part being inaccessible. It just shows you how challenging it's becoming for people to find that quiet space, how more and more access to properties being restricted, the need to respect private lands, but also the pressures we're putting on each other on our spaces. I think it speaks to the insensitivity on all sides. Again, the need for more meaningful, respectful dialogue. All right?
Boy.
I hear you.
I guess you'll never get answers and questions anymore in this Cayman Islands.
Well, I think the challenge, and this is why I commend you, very rarely are we even asking the questions. Is it that we don't have the courage or we don't know how to ask the question to begin with? And that's the thing that I think is being pushed down our throats, from governments to some despots in the private sector to some morons that move about the place. I get increasingly frustrated at how we allow people, because they got a smile and necktie or they wheel a big pen because they read a fat check, to dictate. People need to bend. Anyway, we need to stand up and make sure that our children have a future, and this nonsense got to stop. You better stop now, because it won't happen to be. All right.
Exactly. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I want to let you go. I just want to say one more thing to you. My brother was asking, what is the purpose that I playing marking on the road up here in Port Newland? We can't get an answer to that, but I hope that I don't put anyone in trouble or call wrong names in regards to that. But that, where that green stuff is down on the road, to me, that is pretty much into Sabrina Turner constituent area. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I ask her to forgive me. But you don't see it nowhere else. But
what does that mean then? I mean, I don't want to draw inference. I want you to explain what you're saying. If it's into her constituency area, what does that mean? What are you saying?
I don't know. I don't know what it means. I don't know. I don't know exactly why it was put down, but it's within that constituent area, and I don't know. I don't know why it was done, because it's not done nowhere else. And like I said, that's why I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I ask her to forgive me if I call her name on the station, everything too. But everything has an eye to it. And it's just a matter of getting the eyes open to get the real truth of things that we've done. Because then,
but thank you. Thank you for that. Thanks for that, Mom. And here's the thing, that caller's point that really is egregious in this country. Not what she said. What is a consequence of what's happening. So we have taken Cayman out of the stupid, ignorant, foolish adoption of this one person, one vote. It is the most asinine thing this country could have ever done, after a few other things. A small country, and we chopped it up in chips and little bits and pieces. We run the risk of further polarizing the populace, dividing the country so that we have garrison politics, creating a situation where a politician, good or bad, right, can be, good can be kicked out because no longer find favor, bad can be entrenched because you got 500 people, you only need to make 4 happy, as an argument's sake, right? No, and a house divided can't stand, yet we divide in the house. We now have something in an area, and we see it as a political, it may be, it may not be, but it's something that's happening in Cayman, right? So we got 2 people, according to the media, who've been deported to the U.S. They're now defined as Ebanks, Borden, Jackson, Smiths, or Singhs. they're two citizens of the Cayman Islands. Cayman is going to probably look at the two people and say, oh, they got status. Or they're from one part of the district. The district will say, oh, no, they're from that part of the district, not this part. That district will say, oh, they're part of that family. So the world sees it on the macro level. We're going to see it on the micro level, and then we can even take that micro and break it down smaller. But what we're failing to see, when it's bad, it's impacting the country. The world doesn't see it as the individual. They see it as the Cayman Islands, right? Bermuda the other day pointed to Cayman as a bad example of what is happening and asked his people, do you want to follow that? They didn't say that John or Mary or Sue or Peter did it. They say the Cayman Islands. You see what I mean? So we got to stop beating up each other, stop dividing the country, and sometimes pull aside the person or the people that are doing wrong. Again, the pastor, the police officer, the politician, the parent or the principal in school, and say, listen, get it together, get it right, or out you go. And we're not doing that. Your dad didn't make you go astray just for so, He guided you. Not true?
No, you're absolutely right. No, you're right. Like, we have to hold people accountable.
Mm-hmm.
But and I'm going to go back to it again because I've really, really been working through this for a little while now. And yes, you need to be able to hold your children, your co-workers, your neighbors, your politicians accountable for what they say, what they do, and how they behave. Absolutely correct. But before you can hold anybody else accountable, you have to be able to hold yourself accountable first.
Are you going to be willing to be held accountable?
Yeah, if you can't hold yourself accountable, it's not that I don't want to hear what you have to say.
Right.
It's that the place that you're speaking from is one of two tongues. You do something, but I don't have to hold myself.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, and that's something me as a father, that's me as a father talking now. That's like anything I do, my son has every right to be able to do the same thing. He's only 12 years old, but vice versa. But he's going to copy me. He is copying my manners and my behaviors. Why would I want to set anything less than the best possible example? Any parent, any grandparent listening right now, you may not believe so, but your children are literally copying your behaviors.
Yep.
Your grandchildren are copying your parents' behaviors, and you're seeing it in real time. You see your grandkids do something that your son or daughter did when they're there. You're like, I've seen this before. And so if you know this is true, before you look to hold anybody else accountable, first and foremost, go stand in front of a mirror, because the politicians, those 19 elected officials in May, are going to be a mirror reflection of you. If
we hope so.
We're going to vote for them. We're going to use our choices and our accountability for ourselves and exercise a vote that picks the person that best represents their values. So if they don't come from humble beginnings, you're not going to really. If you don't have the mindset to be a good student, you're not going to.
I wish you had more time to stay with us, right? But next time. But as we go to the break, what you shared is what should be in terms of the politician being reflective of the voter. That's how it should be. Yeah. The demographic is such that it isn't. The statistical anomaly that exists in Cayman will change that. What has to happen?
But the value system doesn't.
But what
value system is what we're looking at here.
That's it.
As we look at the value system of Mr. Johan's value system or Mr. Jan's value system, they're very, very, very similar. Yeah. They're very similar to yours.
Right.
They're very similar to mine.
Yeah.
We're having the exact same conversations. So if you can hold yourself to a certain standard, whatever that standard is your standard. But hold the politicians to yours. Hold your kids to yours. So if you want them to act better, you yourself, and I don't mean this to be offensive, or it's not like I'm speaking from something I don't know. I'm talking to dad. How I approach my son, the kids that I coach, is I hold myself to that standard, and then hopefully offer him the grace to be able to make mistakes along the way, and do the same thing for the politicians.
Thank you. Apologies, Ms. Susan. I've taken up a little bit more of the break. But I guess they get in the way sometimes.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Ray, here's a country song. Susan will tell us the name of it. Talk about where do you learn the father's actions, where do you learn to pray like that, where do you learn to cuss like that. I try to remember what that is. The son has seen the father.
Yeah.
Right? So, never forget who you're for. Never forget what you do.
No, absolutely.
Your children see.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody else.
When we come back, from HSA, Dr. Basson will be our guest. Stay tuned.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Here are a few tips that will benefit you. Ensure to log out completely when you finish any online banking activities. Be aware of phishing attempts and only click links from trusted sources that are sent from your device through emails and messages. Remember, Cayman National will never ask you for your credentials. If you suspect a fraud attempt or that your account has been compromised, please immediately contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments February 22nd to the 28th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited. Whether you're seeking advanced skin care, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Wayne Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drporterkman@gmail.com. That's drporterkman@gmail.com. Call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That's 946-9020.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walker's Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walker's Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Cocoa Fest is back at Pedro St. James, Saturday 22nd of February from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Enjoy crafts, games, music, coconut-inspired food and treats, health and beauty products, and enjoy local cooks, craftsmen, artisans, and farmers through a shared love of Cayman coconut. Admission is only $15 for adults, and kids 6 to 12 is $5, and 6 and under are free. So go coconuts at Cocoa Fest and enjoy one of Cayman's culture and tradition. Saturday, February 22nd. For more info, email admin@pedrostjames.ky or contact 947-3229.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks to our colleague Raymond Singh for giving us, a little insights into Raymond's ruminations. We'll have that segment, maybe some more. After this, I think it's important that we be able to sit and have some therapy. I think grateful to the HSA for this opportunity and to Dr. Chantal Basson for joining us. Been too long since you haven't been here. How are you?
Yeah, it's been a while. It's so good to be here, Sterling. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really well, thank you.
As I was preparing, and I'm grateful to Miss Monique for reaching out and say, hey, can we still have the discussion? And so glad, she helped us to prep for our discussion. It's a nice segue because the conversation we had just then leave us thinking a lot about our landscape, our personal landscape, our political landscape, what our social landscape will be like, and whether we will remain in Cayman after this time in our life, or whether we've been here up until this point for however long. The fact is that we're living and breathing, we're existing. Are we extracting more than we're contributing? Is that conscious on our part? Because many of us, in order to get something, we keep taking, right?
Yeah.
And many of us, in order to get something, we invest in, we're giving, we're pouring into this thing. The student who wants a good grade at the end of the school year is putting in the work.
Right.
The player who wants to make the first 11 or who wants to win the season is putting in the work, hoping to get a thing. The balance is, are you putting in and getting out? Are you getting out and putting in? is it a one-sided equation?
I think it's like such an important thing when we think about, especially people like myself who are living in a country that is not mine. So here I am, I'm attempting to contribute to society here. And I think it's really important for everyone to ask themselves that question. Am I contributing in whatever way I can? It's not just financial, is it? I don't financially contribute huge amounts because I can't, but I contribute lots of time into the community.
Can I ask you with that in mind? Because I think from many perspectives, from the sort of immigration individual, we come to a space. So, your example, you come to Cayman, we're passing through, right? In life, we're passing through. So the Christian ethos is, you're storing up your treasure for yonder. It's not here, not temporal. And I wonder if we were to recognize that we're passing through, whether we are born in a place and we live a century, whether we've only been there a minute, we're passing through, and that impact. How can we get in our ethos that we're there to contribute? Miss Marlin talks about our time, our talent, our treasure. Many of us would do that before because that was the example. Many of us now are seeing that to the victor go the spoils. And so they're extracting.
I think for me, it's about reflecting on the bigger questions in life. Many people get caught up with the capitalist idea of working for ourselves, getting as much as we can for ourselves. And we can get trapped by social media into feeling like we never have enough and we need more for ourselves. And that can really create a barrier, I think, to contribution. So for me, it's about stopping and reflecting. What did I set out to do in life? How far along am I? Is this enough? What am I doing for others? How can I contribute to others? What's making me happy? It's asking ourselves those big questions because we get tied down by the idea that money will make us happy. And everything shows us, our life experience and the research shows us that it doesn't after a certain point. So for me, it's about self-reflection.
And for those who are listening, well, where is he going with this conversation? Well, we're talking about mental health and adolescent mental health. I wanted to share a couple of things because I do not, and I consciously try to find, I do not know of a truly independent nation. Now, they are independent according to the political definition and whatever else may obtain relative to their membership in the UN or what have you. But they're not independent. I can't think of an independent person. No man is an island, we're told. Economics teaches us, differently. But we use that word. I've always said there's an interdependence. Let's take it much easier. A corporate entity. Think of one company that is so independent that it has no strategic alliances with any other company, even in its own industry, which is a competitor, right? Not its suppliers, not the people, its customers, right? The automotive industry is the best example. At one point, and I don't get into cars as much as I used to, because like anything, it could be a wonderful distraction, right? But there was an American, supposedly owned manufacturer whose product, whether in Mexico or other places, was manufactured in that independent nation that was considered a domestic production vehicle. And a Japanese automaker, according to that was manufacturing in the US, was considered an import. Interesting. One had to come over a border, whether a trade agreement or not, but it was a domestic vehicle. One was manufactured in the country of origin and considered an import.
Wow.
Let that resonate with us for a second.
That's really interesting. And I think what I'm really hearing you saying is that we're all connected. Everybody is connected somehow.
Yeah.
We talk about degrees of separation with people, don't we? It's like, I think in the UK it's like 6 or 7 degrees of separation. In Cayman it's 1, 2 degrees of separation.
I believe it's 0.5, but I just kidding.
Yeah.
It was fun. We have a quick break. I'm almost 4 minutes off, but when we come back, more conversation. To our listeners, stay tuned.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just a delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
Easter vacation is just around the corner, and Cayman Airways has added multiple extra flights to some of your favorite destinations, some of mine too. Look here, they got seats available now for booking on extra Easter flights between Grand Cayman and Kingston, La Ceiba, Miami, Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and you can even catch a non-stop flight to Montego Bay for Easter. Check it out. You can visit CaymanAirways.com, contact a local travel agent, or call Cayman Airways Reservations on 949-2311. Oh, don't wait too long though, because these extra Easter seats always sell fast. Be sure to add your Sir Turtle Rewards number to your booking so you can earn more miles for more free trips this year. Well, I know where I'm going. I'll see you on board our uniquely Caymanian airline for Easter.
Freedom, Cayman Brac. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Cayman, could it be you? Tortuga's 10K giveaway is back, and someone's walking away with $10,000 in cash. Every time you spend $25 at Tortuga, in-store or online at tortuga.ky, you get a shot at winning big. As well as $10,000 in cash, we've got thousands in giveaways to hand out every week. Think staycations, the latest iPhones, exclusive experiences, and more. Get in to win. Visit tortuga.ky for the full terms and conditions.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks very much for joining us in the studio from the HSA. I'm actually going to be a clinical psychologist, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Dr. Chantal Basson joins us. And we're grateful that we live in a space where increasingly more and more we're seeing health to be all-encompassing.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a time when, that idea of mental health wasn't even recognized. We've seen, thankfully, as I understand, the industry get to a space where more and more we understand the importance of the ethics, the licensing, the ability to, hopefully, not just in Cayman, but globally, recognize the people who put in the work and not just anybody, like the physicians and the lawyers. You just can't call yourself a doctor or a lawyer. You need to prove. Right? And even when you do, there are certain things that need to transpire to ensure that you continue to practice as a doctor or a lawyer.
Yeah.
I said to share that I'm so grateful to Dr. Alexandra Borden as a clinical psychologist who shares, and for the longest time we had this program that invited people to appreciate the importance of our mental health.
Yeah.
So with that and with the discussions that we were having earlier, as we're looking at it, I'm thinking that we're not willing to see the impact we're having on others and others are having on us. You reference social media. I'll forever champion that it is a dumb thing, in the sense that if it divides us, if it consumes our time, if it dictates how we see ourselves. We have got nice words, body shaming and all these things. We see the negative impact, but we're unwilling to do anything. A number of years ago, a lady reached out and said, could we have this day where we're doing a digital detox we all come off with? I said, well, as parents, are we willing to do that? No, that's for our children. No, it needs to be for us.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing the UK and other jurisdictions, but I'll use the UK as an example, consider, well, should we limit, restrict it for up to 16? Should we take it out of our schools?
So, Sterling, you've touched on a topic that's very close to my heart, straight off the bat. And it's something that we spoke about at the Alex Panton Foundation Symposium on Saturday, the impact of screen time, social media, screens in general, phones, on young people's mental health, on their brain development, but also on ours as well as adults. We know that social media, the content has a negative impact on us. We know it tends to allow us to be unpleasant to others much more easily than it would otherwise have been. And we also know that just the type of very short burst videos we get on things like TikTok are having an adverse impact on the actual weight of brain matter that's developing for young people. So we're seeing an impact across the board. We're seeing more ADHD and autism being diagnosed that may be due to screen time use. We're seeing lots of developmental speech development delay. So Dr. Anand was talking about that. We're seeing lots of behavioural issues, and Ms. Charmaine Miller from the
FRC
Family Resource Centre, was talking about that. And then we're seeing lots and lots of neuropsychological impact, and we heard Dr. Laurence talk about that on Saturday, and that was an incredibly powerful moment. But we are trying to do something about it. So we've set up a WhatsApp community group called Smartphone Free Cayman, Smartphone Free Childhood Cayman. And so if you type that into the search in WhatsApp, you'll find it, and people can join that so that we can create a community to start doing something about it.
Isn't that kind of interesting? We're using the smartphone.
Oh, tell me about it. It's so ironic.
I didn't want to use that word, okay?
So ironic.
Right.
That does not pass me by.
Yeah. But what is interesting, and I'm so grateful for this job and the opportunity to have been able to speak to many people privately who are so polite. I don't want to say diplomatic, I don't want to say politically correct, publicly, but they're in the tech space. They're physicians. They're these, I don't know what you would call them, but they design software and they write code in the tech space, and they say they're limited in their own use.
Yeah.
And I go, but interesting. And over time, I've come to understand, just as you shared, that we're now saying publicly to the point where parliamentarians in the UK, other jurisdictions are saying, we need to look at this more closely because there is a negative impact on people's well-being, their actual lives, their livelihood, and we're taking it for a joke.
Absolutely. It's so important. And you know what? These big tech companies have hundreds and hundreds of people working to make these apps as addictive as possible, but they're showing that they're not as powerful as mothers, because mothers worldwide are taking a stand to help the outcomes for their young people to be different and moving them off smartphones.
Sorry, you just used the word addictive.
Yeah.
Now I think of an addiction, that's some illegal drug, and not even the readily available tobacco or alcohol, right? Not those drugs. We think of addiction as something else. But you're saying this stuff is addictive?
And very purposefully so. So some of the research has shown that smartphones and some apps are as addictive as slot machines that you find in Las Vegas. So we wouldn't allow our children just to go free rein into a gambling hall in Las Vegas.
Right.
And yet actually they're leveraging the same, our smartphones are leveraging the same dopamine circuits that those slot machines are.
Right. Now, maybe those of us who consciously seek it out for our own edification, we have to because of our employment, maybe whatever it is. We know this. In your personal view, if you wish to share, Share it with our profession if you wish. Do we know this? And if so, why are we doing nothing about it?
So do we notice for ourselves, do you mean?
Yeah, for ourselves.
Yeah, we notice. So when we look at the research, most people understand that they have some kind of addiction to especially their smartphones, and they would like to do something about it. But it's like giving up cigarettes or alcohol or vaping. It's addictive, and so what that means is it's very difficult to give up by ourselves. And so when it comes to children, to people under the ages of 18 here, 16 in other places worldwide, what it means is that actually we do need to step in and help them and provide them with the help. So when we look at some of the information that we've gathered recently, we know that young people are saying, you think as adults that we're happy on our phones and our screens, but actually we're not. We're on them because firstly we don't really have anything else to do. There's not really anywhere to go, and also they're really addictive. And so that's where they're spending their time. But what they're saying is we don't really want to be doing that. Right. We want some spaces to socialise.
Okay. As we go to the break, one of these same tech people shared with me, I don't know when, a long time ago. I want to make sure I have this correct. I thought he said when we used to scroll, we would go left to right as if we're turning pages. Now we're going, top to bottom. And that simple change increased the probability that you'll continue doing that. Now
right.
Is that true?
There seems to be something about that increases anticipatory, both excitement and anxiety. Yeah. And both of those things build serotonin and dopamine in our systems and cortisol and make us feel both excited and stressed. Right. And that's not good for us.
Exactly. So they understood that by changing the algorithm to do it this way versus that way, it hit the addiction, right? Correct. See, this is why, maybe I don't say it politely because there's no politics and there's no politeness. This thing is horrible for you.
Yeah.
But we're addicted. We would not let the heroin addict sit there, but we're allowing them to have the heroin from the smartphone and the other stuff. Wow, what a day. Imagine what tomorrow will be like. All right, we got to take our news. Dr. Baswan will share with us some more, especially with the good work at Alex Bantam Foundation. You had a symposium just the other day. We want to hear more. Talk to us. Thank you so much. For those who want to benefit, stay tuned. Join us after the news.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market.
I'm April Cummings with your headlines. 2 new candidates for the Caymanian Community Party. Natasha Whitelock is to stand for a seat in Red Bay and Robert Bodden in Boddentown East. TCCP leader Dwayne Ebanks said in a statement the additions, quote, underscore the party's commitment to broadening community engagement and ensuring that all voices are heard. In international headlines, the acting head of the Social Security Administration has stepped down after reportedly clashing with the Elon Musk-led Department of Government Efficiency. Michelle King reportedly left after resisting staffers' attempts to access sensitive information. 2 people remain in the hospital after a Delta plane arriving into Toronto Pearson Airport crashed and skidded along the runway before flipping upside down. The 2 patients do not face life-threatening injuries. Airport CEO Deborah Flint says it is too early to speculate on what caused the crash. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings.
www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks to HSA and Dr. Chantal Bosson for joining us as we talk about maybe mental health, but adolescent mental health.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to guide us. We ascribe certain sort of precursors, and when we look at adolescence, for instance, some of us may know what age group we're talking about, but for those of us who don't, what are we talking about?
So, the Alex's place where I work, we'll see adolescents. We see young people in the range of 10 to 20. So, adolescence probably doesn't really start until 11, 12.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, young people are struggling and are experiencing adolescent issues a little bit earlier than they used to. And so there isn't like a kind of a set time, but we would say adolescence is kind of our teenage years, plus or minus a couple of years either side.
Right. And looking at jurisdictions, whether it's legal to drive or to consume alcohol, that could be 18.
Yeah.
You know, in that instance for alcohol, it could be 21 in some of the jurisdictions. Some have a custom at the dinner table very early on. They'll mix it in with some juice or otherwise, depending on what it is. That aside, if we have a 19-year-old who in the Cayman context is legally an adult, but it's still a teenager.
Yeah.
It still has a teenage brain. It's still developing.
It's true, and we were the same. When we were 17, 18, 19, we absolutely felt like we knew everything, right?
Sure we did.
Of course we did. And then we kind of get older and realise that, of course, we didn't know everything, but we also then expect the new teenagers growing up to understand that. And of course they don't, and neither did we. So really it's kind of a point in time where the brain is pretty well developed, where emotional regulation is tending to calm down a little, and we can make more wise-minded decisions. Of course, part of growing up is making mistakes and then learning from them. And so just because we reach the age of 18 and official adulthood doesn't mean we're going to stop making mistakes, but hopefully we will still learn from them.
Yeah. There are a number of things as I look, hopefully, as we reflect and we appreciate our upbringing, the benefit of the parent, as well as the teacher, the older siblings, the extended family, the community, and all those things. Hopefully we do get more right than we get wrong. And as I look at our community, we are adopting a lot of things. We have another dumb term, helicopter parent. We have this other thing where, that child has to do anything for him or herself. I think a parent who is involved, not coddling, not doing everything for the child, but who's there, that child will have greater success. Just like the parent that says to the child, you've got responsibilities or chores or whichever. There's an expectation. You're being taught how to do it. You're developing a purpose, a work ethic. You're inculcating into that child this ethos of responsibility. When that child is now older, see the importance of working together. But we adopt this thing that the child should be able to raise itself, know everything. What are we expecting when there's nothing guiding the child? There are no rails, there are no rules. There's nothing. Is that what's happening in this dumb thing, not a smart thing, is raising their children?
So it's really difficult, isn't it? There are so many demands on grown-ups' time, so many demands on parents' time. Women are working much more than they used to, of course. And, there is nothing wrong with that. What it means is we're often relying on others to help us to raise our children. And so it needs to be a much more thoughtful task in terms of how do we remain connected to our children? How do we ensure that we are there enough and present emotionally and physically and psychologically present enough to help to raise them? And so really it's all about the quality of that relationship. It doesn't mean we have to be with them all the time. I work full time as a mother. My girls are young. They're in aftercare at school, so they're in school until at least 5 o'clock. And what I try to do as a parent is then when I am at home be really present. So I'm not on my phone. I am at home making dinner, or at least with my children when we're eating dinner. I'm there helping them do their reading, doing their bedtime routine alongside them. So it's, and in all of that time, then we're talking, how's your day been? Then my daughter will mention something might have happened at school, and she'll want to talk through it. All of those conversations that are happening because we're present as parents.
Mm-hmm.
We're not on our phone. I mean, of course, sometimes I am on my phone, and they're like, "Mummy, mummy, 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 put your phone down, mummy." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and I'll put my phone down. So it's really about being thoughtful about the task of parenting.
Yeah. You see, we can justify, all of us, from the parent to the child,
Mm-hmm.
the need to be on the phone, right?
Yeah.
And I've had, unfortunately, in that instance, but fortunately as well. How can that be? I turned my phone off one day inadvertently. I did not mean to. It went on silent. I did not mean to. Only to, a week, a few hours later, countless missed calls.
Mm-hmm.
Scared the people who were trying to reach me. I didn't expect that they would call. So you can set your phone for certain numbers to come through, but it doesn't always work. A great servant, but a bad master.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always on. On another occasion, my daughter's quite young, we're enjoying our favorite game, and I'm working. And I am, in my mind, I'm present. She did not say this. I know she didn't say this, but this is why I've said to myself, she said, "You may as well not be here."
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't say that. But in my mind, as I went away, we're playing this game, we're doing this thing. She's just a little thing. But I'm not physically, mentally, emotionally, otherwise right there.
Mm-hmm.
My work was so important that as I made, in between the moves and in making the play, I'm also, utilizing the phone. We're not present. So how do we strike that balance? Because it's not easy.
It's a really difficult balance to strike, I think, and it's being very mindful about it. So thinking, right, this is my family time, and I'm going to put my phone on silent and aside for X time.
Yeah.
If there are times when, of course, we can't, then we explain that to the family. But there does need to be time when we are off our phone and present with our young people, and it's something that's really coming out. So, as part of from my HSA perspective at the Alex Panton Foundation, I presented some data that we've gathered from the Inspire event that we held last October. We had 234 young people come, and it was a listening event really to hear how people were feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And we really found some very interesting and very stark information about how young people are feeling. That actually they are feeling that they don't have a good relationship with their parents, and that their parents aren't listening to them. That thing that you spoke about before with Mr. Ray, the listening to understand rather than listening to respond.
Mm-hmm.
And so then asking follow-up questions like, help me to understand because I'm struggling. The understanding that the understanding is not the same as agreeing. Those two things are very different. We can understand and not agree.
Yeah.
And that is often really important, that we can both understand and disagree.
Mm-hmm.
That young people are finding that their peer relationships are very challenging, that there's no spaces for them to talk, there's no places for them to go. They're finding issues like homophobia very difficult. The idea that boys don't cry or aren't allowed to cry, or it's seen as weakness. That's really holding boys back in the mental health space. People feel like no one cares. And then people are turning to drugs, because if there's nothing to do and they're feeling awful and there's no one to talk to and they haven't got the resilience, then they're going to find a different coping mechanism, and that's going to be drugs. And so overall, people are feeling like there's no hope. And so one of the things that we need to do is to start turning the tide on some of this, and providing hope for our youth.
So what's the solution? Because in the Cayman context, I'm of the view, I'm the eternal optimist, right?
Mm-hmm. You and me both.
Yeah, but we can't lose hope.
No, we cannot lose hope.
Yeah. Cayman is a small place geographically. The 100,000 people here, some may say is too many, but it doesn't matter how many. It's still a relatively small number. The problems are not insurmountable. So give us some solutions. How can we make this better? How can we address this?
Oh, I mean, there is a lot to address. I think, first of all, for any parents listening, trying to parent in this age is nigh on impossible. It is extraordinarily difficult. And so when I talk about young people's voices, sometimes it can feel really dismissive for parents. Like, hang on a minute, I'm working, I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm shopping, I'm running my kids around to extracurricular activity, you know, etc., etc. It's really hard. So I think, first of all, we need to start having a load of self-compassion for each of our own situations, that we are doing the best that we can do. And then actually, as parents, start to educate ourselves about how can I learn to listen to understand, rather than the battles I get into with my child about they're wrong and I'm right. And how can I get them to just listen to me?
Yeah.
So parents often just want their child to listen to them. And what I spend quite a lot of time talking with parents about is actually how we listen to the child first and understand them, and then help them to listen to us.
Right. Are we in society, again, through social media, media in general, from the music to the movies, to all the other things, sending not just mixed messages, but are we confusing our children about everything?
I think the world is a really, really confusing place for children. We want them to be independent, but not too independent. We want them to do really well academically, but we also want them to do activities and sports. You know, we want them to have friends, but not be out too much. It's a really confusing
mixed
thing.
Messages, huh?
Loads of mixed messages, but also mixed messages from us, mixed messages from social media, mixed messages from friends at school, from teachers.
From everywhere.
It's a minefield.
Yeah. Is it then that to some extent, or on one hand, and this is just a question in your professional capacity, we want the child to be empowered, to be independent, right? But are we giving the child, in trying to achieve that, too much leeway, too much independence to make some life-changing decisions when the child's brain, life experience, otherwise, just isn't there to make that? You can decide you're going to go to bed at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. You know what? You get 1 less hour sleep. But getting a tattoo, getting plastic surgery, dropping out of school, changing a subject, they may not be as simple decisions without the consequence being felt 10, 30, 50 years later.
So I think boundaries for children equals safety. When we have boundaries, we push up against them as children. We try and find the edges of those boundaries and then we push. And that's why parenting is hard. So, but those boundaries create then the safety for that child. They know what's expected of them. They know kind of what their world is made up of from a parenting perspective. So too much leeway and we don't feel safe. Too little and we feel totally stifled. So it's kind of trying to strike the right balance. But within that, so we'll have like our boundaries for the big things. And as our children grow, we want them to start making decisions, but within the boundaries that we create.
Right.
So we want them to start making decisions, maybe even getting it wrong, making mistakes, so that they can really learn. So that later on, when they're making decisions by themselves, they've got the positive benefits of that learning.
All right. When you come back from the break, we'll talk more specifically about the work of Alex Place. But we also want to ask, in those mistakes, is it important that we not only allow them to make mistakes, for want of a better word, to experience something, to see how it works, so that they take ownership and they get a chance of, well, let me see if I can do this thing. But should those mistakes be allowed when the consequence is something that cannot be undone? Right? I've seen some. Can we talk about those two things specifically and what's available? All right, join us after the break.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just a delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
Easter vacation is just around the corner, and Cayman Airways has added multiple extra flights to some of your favorite destinations, some of mine too. Look here, they got seats available now for booking on extra Easter flights between Grand Cayman and Kingston, La Ceiba, Miami, Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and you can even catch a non-stop flight to Montego Bay for Easter. Check it out. You can visit CaymanAirways.com, contact a local travel agent, or call Cayman Airways Reservations on 949-2311. And don't wait too long though, because these extra Easter seats always sell fast. Be sure to add your Sir Turtle Rewards number to your booking so you can earn more miles for more free trips this year. But I know where I'm going. I'll see you on board our uniquely Caymanian airline for Easter.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Here are a few tips that will benefit you. Ensure to log out completely when you finish any online banking activities. Be aware of phishing attempts and only click links from trusted sources that are sent from your device through emails and messages. Remember, Cayman National will never ask you for your credentials. If you suspect a fraud attempt or that your account has been compromised, please immediately contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
Attention Cayman! Transform your kitchen for less with Granite Express, Cayman's big clearance sale. Until February 28th, get huge discounts on granite and quartz kitchen countertops. Plus, refresh your space with our cabinet respray services for as low as $3,950. If you only want a countertop, prices start at $2,150. Don't miss this limited time offer. Visit Granite Express Cayman today or call 922-0424 for a free estimate. That's 922-0424. Granite Express. Quality stone. Unbeatable prices.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Thanks very much to the HSA and to Dr. Wasan for joining us. And, you know, at Alex's place right within the HSA, for those who don't know where it is, could you tell us?
So Alex's place is situated in the main Georgetown Hospital, just past the main atrium on the left, where the old GP walk-in clinic used to be.
So on your way to the clinic, the dental clinic, it will be on your left where old GP was. Okay.
Exactly, just before the dental clinic. It's signed, so people will be able to see that it's there. We're open from 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. And really, we're an adjunct to the emergency department for adolescent mental health. So for young people in mental health crisis, we are there to assess and understand and help young people between the ages of 10 and 20. And we're open Monday to Friday. As I said, 10 till 6.
So 10 to 6, just Monday to Friday. How do we access? Because we know if we go to certain physicians, their referral, their appointments, how do we access Alex's place?
So people can refer, but actually the beauty of Alex's place is that young people can just walk in. That Monday to Friday, 10 till 6, they can just walk in and see somebody.
Okay, we would go to the ER if we have a fracture, an emergency, right? Somebody's bleeding or something. We'll make a physical appointment or something. Well, you do it online to go to a follow-up or a consult or whichever. For Alex's place, do we need to have a particular ailment? Why would we come and how do we come and what do we come for?
So we're like the accident and emergency of mental health. So it's the more kind of severe end when young people might be experiencing things like self-harm, suicidal ideation, severe depression, very severe anxiety, something that feels like it's not manageable to wait for an appointment.
Okay. So what if that age 10 to 20, maybe the young person is at work, at school, maybe it's the after school, whatever. They're not quite sure what they're feeling, but they know something. And there's thankfully no ideations of self-harm or attempts. Can they just come in? I mean, they don't feel they don't know where to go. There's something not right and they don't know who to talk to. Yeah.
Yes, they can.
Okay.
They can come and figure out what it is they need.
So just come on in.
Yeah, and if it's something that we wouldn't ordinarily manage at Alex's place, we will always find a way to find the help that somebody needs.
I referenced Dr. Alexandra Borden earlier because I think there is still, hopefully not as much, but still some semblance of stigma. Whether you're an adolescent, whether you're an adult, going to talk to someone about something, a trained professional. That person's going to think and we fill in the blank, or my family, or whatever. What can we do about addressing the stigma so that adolescent in particular having to navigate all the things that's happening in his or her life and not have to deal with potential in their minds, what they may think, others may think of them?
So, from my experience, it's less the young person feeling the stigma now and more, for example, young people's families saying, you can't go and see someone because we don't want people to know our business. Or they're going to tell everybody. So I think what I would say is, on this island, I feel like there's a real understanding of that. So I know that when somebody comes to see me, they're going to maybe bump into somebody on the way. They're going to maybe worry about me knowing people. And so actually, as a mental health professional, we are exceptionally good at keeping confidentiality. It's part of our code of conduct. We can be struck off the register of working if we break confidentiality. So it's exceptionally important. So what I would say is, first, it's becoming more and more common for people to speak out about our mental health. And secondly, more and more people are seeking help. So it's becoming kind of much less of a thing that somebody's going to see a therapist, and much more of a kind of everyday thing.
I remember sharing publicly a friend in a particular state in the U.S. that when we would chat and we're talking about therapy, and the show with Dr. Borden was just getting started, and I was sharing how challenging it is that sometimes to get people to talk about it. The comment in response was, back where the person stays, everybody has a therapist, even the dog.
Yeah.
The dog is going, and I thought he was joking, but that's true. You're taking the dog to therapy.
Yeah. It's like, honestly, I think in parts of the US, therapy is like an extracurricular activity.
Yeah, well, probably. And I can share that what I've experienced from the interviews and just deliberate conversations. The level of confidentiality does exist. It's no different than when you speak to your lawyer or your physician. I'm glad to see more of us speaking to someone. What I'm hoping is that that'll become the norm. You talk to someone in your business about an issue, right? You need to talk to, or clinical psychologist or psychiatrist. It's not a weakness, it's actually a strength to seek help.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping they'll be able to do that. But in saying that, I'm wondering, like we see in the US in particular, where it would seem from media accounts that we passed legislation to give the adolescent so much authority in terms of making life-changing decisions at the expense of that person's well-being, at the exclusion of the parents' involvement and consent. I wonder if we are at risk of the same happening in Cayman.
I think, in all honesty, families are very tight-knit here, and the government is generally very protective of its people. And so I can't see, especially with the age of consent here being 18, that the government would move to give young people...
But age of consent for what? Because sexual consent is 16,
Yes.
legal is drive at 17, vote at 18, drink at...
Yes.
So we got all these different ages.
It's true.
And we got this mixing of stuff. So, and I know that the 16-year-old can go to the physician without a parent and can do certain things.
So the physician can't come and see us under the age of 18. The child can't come and see us as physicians under the age of 18 without parental consent.
Okay. Are you... Because I'm asked that specifically, and I'm told that a 16-year-old can see a physician in Cayman and the parent can be absent.
I wonder where that's come from, because actually we had a young person come in just last week who was 17, and we had to wait for their parent to come in.
This is at Alex's place.
Yep.
And do you know, I'm not putting you on the spot, but the reason, I'm so glad you mentioned that, there's so much that we believe we know because it was told by John, who's in a position of authority and whichever, and it may not be.
Right.
But I am at this point, we'll labor under because of where it's going. A 16-year-old and older, but at 16 can see physicians at the exclusion of parents.
Okay.
Could you inquire for my personal identification? I will go back and ask the person again.
I will inquire.
Yeah, because for me, I do not want that 16-year-old to exclude going to the physician, but I do not want us to get to that foolish place where that child can do things without a parent involvement. Because end of the day, I mean, we got some people, and I'll talk about men later on, but we got to step up. So would you do that for me? I'll do the same.
Certainly.
And I want our parents to step up because we love our children, man.
Absolutely.
They're well, in my world, they're God's gift, man. And we have our ultimate responsibility to give them the best life. And sometimes that's tell them no.
Absolutely. And telling our kids no and letting them be upset is part of parenting. We cannot keep our children kind of contented 24/7. It's not possible. But when we say no, we do it with compassion and love and understanding.
An explanation.
If they're upset, an explanation. You know, my 5-year-old gets upset all the time when I say no. I say, I know it's horrible that I'm saying no to that. You really, really want that. But my answer isn't going to change. The answer is still no.
Explanation. Tell the child they're smart. Smarter than we give them credit for.
Yeah, they sure are.
Yeah. I want to have more of these discussions. I want us as a people to appreciate the importance of our health and well-being.
Yeah.
And it's not, like Ray was saying earlier, it's not this air-fairy thing. It's not this world where, you know, we're living in fantasy land. It's a reality. Our young people are hurting. You just shared from, you know, your Inspire feedback that they're lost.
Yeah, many young people do feel lost. Yeah. But I tell you what really, really stood out to me on Saturday. At the symposium, Dr. Stephanie Shern gave a talk about sexual grooming. And it's something we don't speak about enough here. And yet it's something that I hear a lot in my therapy room, young people having experienced sexual grooming and sexual assaults. And I was so inspired and grateful to hear her talking about that. She's at the Wellness Centre. Because now that opens up the conversation and we need to continue it. Yeah. And we need to help change the landscape of sexual assaults in Cayman.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen media accounts of certain things where we, the public, only reading what is reported, not able to understand why this could be. But perhaps it's legislation, perhaps it's lack of evidence, or it's the ineffectiveness of prosecution. It may be the mindset of the parties, whatever it is, but if the country as a whole does not have a shared ethos as to whether this behavior, whatever the behavior is, drinking and driving, talking on phones while you're driving, not wearing the seatbelts, littering, whatever that, isn't a shared, inculcated ethos. It becomes a norm.
That's right.
And in our society, there are comments made, well, you know, culturally, whether that's the culture here, the culture imported from elsewhere, that's okay. Well, it may be okay culturally here, there, but is it okay? Is it something that we should encourage? Is it something that we should address? And I've always believed if you don't acknowledge it, you can't address it.
It's so true. And just because something's happened, like as a commonality to people, doesn't make it okay.
Right.
It really doesn't. Yeah. And to say, I guess if I said that something was okay because it happened to a number of people in a community, that gaslights them and it dismisses their experience as traumatic and difficult. Yeah. But it takes a lot to start to really step out of that. So I'm hopeful that we can start to do that.
Yeah. Well, I'm publicly grateful that you would come on. I know we had some questions that inadvertently got answered, but not directly. Thank you for the accommodation. Maybe we'll do a Q&A and fill it. But we need to know that Alex Place exists. We need to appreciate that it's important for our overall health and well-being. The resources are there. Maybe as parents, you know, put down the phone for a second. Play dominoes with your child on a Sunday afternoon. Go fishing. Play tic-tac-toe, XO, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Your child wants you. The hardest part is you making time to be with the child.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wednesday tomorrow, Miss Susan? All right, Connor, for the record, starts the day off right. So please join him. Come back for a talk today. Few things that we're hoping to be able to have discussions on. We'll also honestly and honorably share with you the DJ 5K challenge at 1 o'clock, tell you about that. But before and after, well, you're going to have to find out what's happening, so join us then. All right, a lot more to say, but let's take it slowly. Until tomorrow, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital, peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
You are listening to Radio Cayman.